Skadoosh. What's going on, guys? I'm Chris and welcome back to another video. So today I've got my ranking of all 4 Kung Fu Panda films from my least favorite to my favorite, as Kung Fu Panda 4 hits theaters this weekend, which I have a full review for linked up above. But before I get into my ranking, be sure to hit that like button and comment down below your ranking of all 4 Kung Fu Panda films. Subscribe and hit that notification bell to help reach my goal of 150,000 subscribers here on the channel. It mean a lot. And if you want to watch movies and shows with me, you can do so on my Patreon link down below. For $5 a month, your support helps support me directly as well as the channel. Anything goes a long way, and I look forward to continue growing that community. And real quick, I want to thank the sponsor of today's video, Kalshi. Kalshi is actually the first legal financial exchange in the US where you can bet on any event, including the Oscars. And with the Oscars coming up this Sunday, March 10th, Kalshi has a ton of Oscars market. So if you're confident in your picks for this year's Oscars, you can actually make some money off it. So how does this work? Let's say you think American Fiction will win for Best Adapted Screenplay. Well, it's currently priced at 61%. So you can buy shares of American Fiction for 61 cents each. Let's say you want to buy 100 shares. You'd pay 61 cents times 100, which is $61. And if American Fiction wins, which it's actually the favorite right now, you would get $100, and if not, you get $0. And don't fret, you can also sell your shares before the results come in. Kalshi has many movie markets, including Rotten Tomatoes scores, and then they've got markets on politics, music, climate, technology, games, and more. And it's the only place you can bet on the Oscars in all 50 states. You can sign up using my link on screen right now and link down below. And the first 500 traders will get a free $20 credit for you to do whatever you desire with. Again, huge thank you to Kalshi for sponsoring this video, and you guys can go check out their various Oscar markets linked down below. But without further ado, let's rank these Kung Fu Panda movies. So coming in last place at number 4 is the recently released Kung Fu Panda 4. It brings me no joy to report I was not a big fan of this movie. The main reason being it lacks the emotional depth and maturity of the other 3 films, specifically the first 2. When it comes to Kung Fu Panda 4, yes, Jack Black is back as Po, and he's undeniably got that charm and a lot of those line deliveries that'll make you chuckle in your seat in the theater, but it's missing the core, especially the character dynamics of the previous films, which feels like an abandonment of what built this franchise up to what it was. Sure, you've got some talented voice actors involved with Bryan Cranston and James Hong returning, and the addition of Quan is awesome. You've even got Viola Davis having a menacing role, but her character, the chameleon, who's the main villain of the film, is not fleshed out nearly enough, and there's really no compelling backstory when you compare her to the other villains of this franchise. And of course, Awkwafina is in the picture here as like the co-main character of the film, and Awkwafina's humor can be hit or miss, and that's the case in this movie yet again. But if you don't buy into her character's relationship with the main character Po, it's going to be a hard movie to get on board with. I just think this movie caters to the youngest audience out of all the Kung Fu Panda films, as there's lowbrow humor that just really missed the mark for me. Sure, it's going to be a hit for families, but it feels like a shell of what the Kung Fu Panda franchise once was, and unfortunately, like I said earlier, lacks the emotional depth of its predecessors. At number 3 on my list is going to be Kung Fu Panda 3. This is a film that I watched for the first time not too long ago in preparation for the 4th movie, and it was a really solid watch. It's got some exciting fight scenes, and we get Po's birth father introduced into the picture, voiced by Bryan Cranston. So we explore Po's fatherhood relationships with both his adoptive father and his birth father in this movie, which makes for some compelling moments for sure. You've also got a new setting introduced. I forget the name of it, but I'm going to call it Pandaland. It's like the hidden area where all of the pandas have taken refuge. And Tigress has a bigger role here in terms of the Furious 5. Plus, you've got a main villain voiced by J.K. Simmons. Now, he's no Fletcher in this movie, if you know, you know, but he still gives a solid voice acting performance. There's lots of entertainment value with this movie. It's nice to see a continuation of the story, but when compared to the first 2, it definitely feels a bit dumbed down and doesn't really trust the audience fully to dive into more mature themes like in the first 2 films. Again, still an entertaining watch, and there are some badass showdowns in the 3rd act, but it doesn't hit as hard as the first 2 films. Still a solid watch, but not on that great scale like the other 2. Speaking of the other 2, my runner-up in the Kung Fu Panda franchise is Kung Fu Panda 2, a movie that I had seen in theaters, actually at the Dollar Theater growing up, and didn't rewatch for years until very recently, and man, did I forget how awesome this movie is. This film further develops Po as the main character and gives him this tragic backstory where you can't help but feel heartbroken for him, as he never really knew his birth parents. This film really dives into the adoptive father relationship, and there are moments where I legitimately teared up near the end of the film because of how beautiful of a story it was between father and son. Those stories, as well as brotherhood stories, always pull my heartstrings, and that was the case here. The villain of this film, Lord Chen, is outright terrifying, voiced by Gary Oldman, and he was born to play villainous roles, but Gary Oldman can do it all. He himself is a chameleon, and I know that's a reference to the fourth Kung Fu Panda film, but he crushed it. Kung Fu Panda 2 is one of those movies where all hope feels lost at a certain point, and as a viewer, you're just like, how the hell is Po gonna get out of this one? How are our heroes gonna rise to the occasion? And it makes for those moments where you want to get on your feet and pump your fist in the air, where your main hero in Po just has this moment where he lives up to his potential and embraces his role as the Dragon Warrior, sending chills down your spine. At least for me, I was like, this rules. The third act of this movie was awesome. We got some really epic action, especially for a DreamWorks animated film, and Kung Fu Panda 2 doesn't really miss a beat when compared to the first, but taking the top spot on this list has to be the original Kung Fu Panda from 2008. Again, this is a movie that I watched growing up once, and I hadn't seen it in over a decade, so I went back and rewatched it in preparation for the fourth movie. I was shocked at how much I really loved it. It's a simple yet effective concept that fires on all cylinders, as you've got this main character in Po who looks up to the Furious Five and who wants to step into this role of being selected as the Dragon Warrior, or at least get a seat to watch this ceremony, because he just works selling noodles for his dad and he wants more in life. Even though his dad envisions him growing up and taking over the noodle shop, Po has other aspirations in life. So over the course of the movie, we see Po have to tell his dad, this is what I'm gonna do, and he goes his separate ways. As difficult as that may be at first to tell authority figures in your life, this is the route I see for myself, Po knows what's best for him, and over the course of the movie, he's able to embrace that while still maintaining a loving relationship with his father. So it's a story that I think resonates with me and a lot of others out there who have big dreams or aspirations, having to follow through with them despite what others around you are trying to tell you to do in your life, and it really worked for me. The Furious Five is awesome in this movie as well, and seeing them and Po have to butt heads for a bit, but over the course of the movie becomes sort of this unconventional family a la the Guardians of the Galaxy, just really clicked for me. And the best villain in the franchise is in this movie, Tai Lung, voiced by Ian McShane. And I said this in my Kung Fu Panda 4 review, but Ian McShane has one of those commanding voices where he speaks and automatically your ears perk up, you're like really intently listening. Well, we get a prison break scene with Tai Lung in this film, and that is one of, if not my favorite scenes in this entire series, because it shows how much of a badass he is. They established Tai Lung as a character who's very feared and unstoppable, and he's in like this super max prison, and it seems like it's inescapable. Well, he manages to do the impossible and break out of that thing in one of the most riveting scenes in this entire movie. But of course, you've got Jack Black as Po in this film, and this was his first voice acting role as Po, and man, did it work. He really embraced the role. He brought his own Jack Black mannerisms, where he's screaming and having those over-the-top moments, but he's such a lovable character. Over the course of this movie, he's got a beautiful journey that he goes on, embracing his role as the Dragon Warrior against all odds. And I think the reason Kung Fu Panda resonates deeply with me is because it's an underdog story. We all love to root for the underdog, and that's what Kung Fu Panda excels at. You've got a stellar voice acting cast, the best villain in the franchise, and a hero's journey following Po embracing the role of Dragon Warrior that he was always meant to be in. It's a fantastic DreamWorks film, maybe one of their better, and easily the best of the bunch when it comes to the Kung Fu Panda franchise. But that's just my ranking of all 4 Kung Fu Panda films. Let me know yours in the comments down below, and of course hit that like button, subscribe and hit that notification bell to help me reach my goal of 150,000 subscribers here on the channel. It would mean a lot. And again, big thank you to Kalshi for sponsoring this video. You guys can use my code linked down below, and the first 500 traders will get $20 free credit to do whatever you desire with. But that's gonna do it for this ranking video. Thank you guys as always for watching, and until next time, I'll see you guys later.